going on, everybody? It's the Super Robot, and today we have in front of you the MAKETOYS Giant Type 61, which is the third-party version of a, well, this was for the Chug style Devastator. This thing was ahead of its time. This came out in 2012. This is way before Combiner Wars. You can tell that it was Chug inspired because it does take liberties on the characters. It doesn't stick quite faithfully to G1, but it does what it needs to do. I had to get him. Why? Because he's in scale with the rest of the Combiner Wars figures. Unfortunately, we didn't get that officially from Hasbro. We got a much larger, more or less in scale up with Masterpiece, which means that we're probably never ever going to get a Chug style Devastator. Maybe, but it's going to be a while. Until then, this is the choice. There's Hercules, but didn't like it as much. You may see some changes with my not Hook, because I actually painted his head black and painted his face silver to match the rest of the people. Now, I don't know their names, so we're going to be going by not Scavenger and not Bone Crusher as an example. But this is the box, and yes, it came with the box. I bought this used. Shows the Devastator mode, which is absolutely the best, and of course it shows everything on the back. And basically the Type 61 really means G1, so if you didn't know. And basically, you know, it's got the very kind of G1 style. There's a yellow one, but the yellow one not as good as the green one. There's actually some changes that were made, so keep that in mind when you buy the yellow set. If you're looking for the yellow set, apparently from what I've heard, a lot of fixes were done on this set. So just keep that in mind. And I don't want the yellow one. My Devastator that I know is green. So we're going to move this out the way. And we're going to do this like 2x2. Just keep it nice and simple and nice and easy. And in front of you, we have the not Bone Crusher and the not Scavenger. Transformations will be done off screen. But let's take a look at them. So they don't look like their G1 counterparts at all. If you want to know where MAKETOYS got their engineering from, this is basically the it's the Devastator that came with Target, or better yet, the RID. I forget their names in the show, but they were the Autobots were Constructicons, so to speak, or construction bots. And you'll notice this is where they borrow from their Crane, the Crane character. When it turned into the Crane, I think his name was Grimlock in the RID series. These are the exact same leg transformations for them. So just keep that in mind. But what is pretty cool though is everything else that these two do. So first things first, let's get some measurements. And the reason why we're starting in robot mode first is because later on, to do the transformation into Devastator, I'm going to turn the brightness up just a bit. To turn the Devastator, you know, you have to be in vehicle mode. So these two are approximately 5.5 inches. The not Scavenger, and he is about 5 and maybe a little over 5.5. So he's a little bit taller, and it could just be due to where I have them standing up. And now with these guys, they have the full range of articulation. They have feet swivel. They can't necessarily do a Van Damme. They're not going to try. But they do have, you know, an E-bend, which goes out to here. Both of them do the exact same thing and everything. You know, they can do the kick step. Head pivots. It's on the ball joint. Looks up and down, so you can get a close look of the head there. It's pretty cool. And they are nicely painted. Have sort of like that anime look, so they don't look exactly like, you know, G1. Now these weapons are part of the gun. Now all of the weapons for each of them will form the big blaster for Devastator. And let's go over articulation. Now both of them have the same articulation. Arm goes out to here. He's got a double elbow. Doesn't have a arm. Well, he can do it right here. So, and both of them do the same thing. So they can do it right there. The fist does rotate. Everything does rotate 360, but the kibble is in the way. So looking at the back, these are the connector ports for turning into the Devastator arms. And the same thing, this is, not Bone Crusher. And he doesn't look like Bone Crusher does resemble more or less that RID Grimlock. And he has the the actual bulldozer blades on his, like, I guess you want to say near his abdomen going into his back. This is the only downside, is really trying to put this somewhere, and you can kind of fold it down if you want to get a full, waist swivel, things of that nature. But I mean, you're not really going to do that. And the same thing with the not Scavenger. He has the exact same the exact same articulation. Everything's the same. So where do these two compare with some robots? So you will see them a lot in these short videos because we have the Dotson brother and we have a Voyager, which is, if Hasbro painted him same color as him, I guess he would be Holler. So as you can see, they're pretty sizable deluxes. They're bigger than a Smokescreen here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next thing we're going to do is transformation, and these things are a pain. I can't stress this enough. I have the Dickens transforming them, so that we're going to do off screen, and we'll be back 2 and 2. All right, we're back by YouTube magic. We're going to go over the vehicle modes, starting with Not Bone Crusher. He has no wheels at the bottom, as you can see there. Just a regular, just bulldozer. This kind of moves up and down. You can kind of pivot that there. Other than that, this is it. And he folds up pretty well. It's just a lot of parts don't seem to latch in, and it's probably because I'm doing it wrong. But for the most part, I've got him where he needs to be. And what we're doing is basically putting everything together. This is part 1 of the video. Part 2 is going to be creating Devastator. And then, of course, over here, we have Scavenger, not Scavenger. And I've always been having an issue with the head fitting in here. But as you can see here, he just basically does this. Again, no wheels on the bottom. You can see these are going to be the parts for the arms later on. Pretty decent transformation. I still feel like I'm not doing something right, but it's just, for the most part, this is how he looks. So this is it. And the head is right here. And I never can, like I said, I never can get it to stay. Now, the cool thing about the gun, this is going to be the first part of the gun. It's kind of like if you ever played a game called Heavy Barrel, you had to collect all the parts to get the big gun. Basically, you just put this together and kind of fold that in and then fold that in. And this is the barrel part of the gun. So we have now completed Not Bone Crusher and Not Scavenger as the first part. And then after that, we'll continue on to the next part.